One of the biggest conflicts in Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is undoubtedly between Miguel and Miles.
So we're just supposed to let people die because some algorithm says that that's supposed to happen? You realize how messed up that sounds, right?
You have a choice between saving one person and saving an entire world, every world.
Each of them holds unique beliefs about how things should be done. Miguel, as the leader of the Spider Society, strongly believes that you should never interfere with the established storyline or canon because it could lead to catastrophic consequences, like the destruction of an entire universe. The reason he and the others disagree with Miles is that Miles refuses to accept this idea without questioning it. Miles genuinely thinks there might be another way to do things, rather than letting innocent people die just because it's supposedly meant to be. In my opinion, this is where he really embodies the spirit of a true Spider-Man. A true Spider-Man would never stand by and watch an innocent person die if he knew it was going to happen in advance. Sure, Spider-Man often loses someone he loves, but that's because it's unexpected. If he knew beforehand that someone he cared about was going to die, I don't think he would just stand by and let it happen.
I'm trying to focus on what's important. What's important is not standing by and allowing someone to suffer or die because you do nothing. If you don't get that, then you don't get the first thing about being Spider-Man.
Of course, there's a risk involved in trying to change events. It could potentially destroy a whole universe. But Miguel isn't 100% sure that breaking the canon will have this effect. He might be right or wrong, but for him, it's not worth the risk, which is understandable but also kind of messed up at the same time. What bothers me is picturing Spider-Man, who always tries to save everyone he can, just watching and letting an innocent person die without doing anything. That's not something I can imagine a Spider-Man doing. He always gives his best effort to save everyone, even though it's not always possible. So, the idea of him standing by idly while someone innocent suffers is just hard to accept. The contrast between Miguel's caution and Miles's willingness to challenge the norms highlights the complexities of being a hero and the impossible choices they often face. Miles is against the Spider Society's rules because he still believes deeply in the idea that Spider-Man always finds a way to save everyone. This is a really inspiring way of thinking, but the harsh reality is that it's not always possible, no matter how hard he tries.
Miles, the hardest thing about this job is you can't always save everybody.
The disagreement between Miles and the Spider Society runs much deeper than it seems at first. Miles is considered an anomaly. He wasn't meant to become a Spider-Man, and everyone in the Spider Society is well aware of this. Initially, Miles had a very optimistic view of the Spider Society. He thought he would be welcomed with open arms, make new friends, and feel like he belonged among this elite group of Spider-Men. You could see how eager he was to be part of it.
I don't follow orders, leave it as is.
I'm invited to HQ? Woo!
However, when he discovered the truth behind everything, his perspective completely changed. Miles ended up being the only one standing against Miguel, with no one on his side, not even his friends.
Miles, please understand. You can't ask me not to save my father.
He felt utterly alone and isolated within that place. The things Miguel said to him were incredibly harsh because he blamed Miles for everything bad happening in the multiverse, telling him straight to his face that he didn't belong there and that he was never meant to be Spider-Man. The movie has managed to divide viewers into two camps, some siding with Miles and others with Miguel. But honestly, it's hard to say who's right about the whole canon thing. If I had to share my own thoughts, I think Miles has a strong point when it comes to breaking the mold and forging his own path. This approach gives a new perspective and a fresh spin on the Spider-Man storyline, which is really exciting. At the same time, Miguel's perspective about respecting the canon also makes sense, as it's about maintaining balance and avoiding potentially disastrous consequences. The movie does a great job of presenting both sides, so we can understand where each character is coming from. It's interesting because we see examples where the rules aren't always set in stone. Take Gwen's father, for instance. In the typical Spider-Man story, every police officer who becomes captain is destined to die. However, Gwen's father quit being captain, and nothing happened to him or her universe. The universe remained intact.
Wait a minute, you're not gonna be captain? That means
This raises a lot of questions about Miguel's beliefs regarding the canon. It even caused some members of the Spider Society to question their stance and eventually leave. For example, Gwen's group used to be part of it, but now they're on Miles's side. If these two groups were to clash, it could lead to an epic confrontation. Although I think the main focus remains on the Spot, who has become incredibly powerful, there's definitely an open opportunity to explore this conflict between Gwen's team and Miguel's team. The question of who's right still hangs in the air, and it's something that will only be resolved in Beyond the Spider-Verse.